Okay, what we're going to discuss today is mower blades. I've had so many questions and I've covered little bits of it here and there over a number of different videos, but we're going to discuss mower blades, and since I have to switch these blades on these two mowers here, we might as well start off right there, and I'm going to show you the blades and the differences between them. Now underneath here, I have the X blade setups that are set up on this mower, and you guys know that I use this for a lot of the leaf cleanups I did this year, and if there's ever any doubt from anyone whether the X blade setup works, it does work. 100% works. And does it do damage to your equipment, to your spindles, things like that? It really doesn't put any more wear and tear on your equipment. That's a myth. It is not true. I've done it for years and years with just putting two blades on and running a bolt through. On this one, I have the actual kit, and I will show you that in a minute. But you got to be mindful. You got to be smart. You engage the blades at half throttle, and you don't, rev your mower up to full throttle, engage the blades. You got a lot more weight on here, a lot more force turning, but this does work phenomenal. And this thing really did well this year in heavy, wet, thick grass and in doing leaves, mulching up leaves. It was just night and day difference running it like this. So let's get these off here and let me explain you these blades. Okay, now these are the basic style of blades that pretty much everybody's going to run into just or across the board just using mowers, okay? Now for walkers, obviously those are different, but for every other brand of mower, this is the basic idea you're going to run into. Okay, I have the X blade set up on here. We'll pull this washer off. This is the X blade kit. That's pretty much all it is. It is just a flap, like a piece of steel. It's bent down in one direction and up in another direction. So you just set it on there so it goes down and cups the sides of your lower blade, and then it's up high for your top blade to sit down in those grooves, and it keeps them from moving. Now I've run before with just a blade straight through, two blades. I've never had them move, but they say that it can happen, so that's why they came up with that kit. So anyway, that is your basic kit. Now let's discuss these blades and, in my opinion, in my experience, what the difference is. Okay, we're gonna lay them out like this. This is your standard blade, your standard low lift blade. This is what comes stock on the Wright deck. Okay, in certain conditions, regular mowing, regular dry conditions, you're not taking a lot off. I think this works pretty well. In my area up here in the Northeast, where we have heavy, wet, thick grass 90% of the year, and then at least in the when we get the days where it's really hot, it still stays wet till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. To me, these blades do absolutely no good in those conditions, but for regular everyday dry conditions, they work just fine. So, and that is what I am putting back on here. That's what I'm selling this mower with, is the stock blades that came back on it. As you can tell, they're still in really good shape. They're almost brand new, because I barely ever use them because they were no good for me in this area. So I'll sharpen them, balance them, put them back on, they'll be good to go. This is a mulching blade. This one actually has a lift in it. I don't even know why it's lifted like that, but it does change the height of your cut. When you put this on a mower, you're cutting a little bit lower than what your settings say because of that lift. A lot of times you'll get a mulching blade like this that'll still be completely flat in the middle. But they have, you can get standard mulching blades, G5, G6, so on and so forth. I believe these ones were G6s. A lot of guys run these exclusively. That's all they run, constant mulching. I don't like them. I've never had good luck with them, except for back in the day when I used to run nothing but walk behinds, the old style decks that weren't over baffled, they were wide open. These did really, really well for mowing even the heavy, wet, thick stuff, because even though I would still have to double cut, the pieces would come out a lot smaller. Now, you don't get the throw with these, so it doesn't shoot anything out of the deck fast or far when you're running these, because it just doesn't have the lift and the momentum to push that stuff out. Its design is to chop it up smaller, not throw it out fast or far. So I had good luck with those on old walk behinds, but nothing that I've run since then as far as sit down zero turns or standers. I've never had luck with these. You can run them if you're just side discharging doing leaves, and they do mulch them up pretty good, but I found much better ways to handle leaves than to just run these. But that is your standard like G5, G6, Gator mulching blades. This here, this is one that a lot of people like to run. This is your regular high lift blade. Now, there is different versions. There is a high lift and there is a super high lift, is what they call it. They do not make the super high lift for every brand of mower. I have found that out in the past trying to find them, and you can't always find them. This actually is a super high lift. It comes up very, very steep. Okay, it shoots up really, really, really high, really steep. That is a super high lift blade. When you're mowing grasses like in the heat of the summer, when the grass just doesn't have the elasticity that it normally has, like in spring when it's green, it's healthy, this will give you that high lift to suck that grass up straight so you get that nice even cut, and it allows you to cut faster because you're sucking, you have so much power sucking up, giving you the pull, that grass, to bring it straight up to cut it. So as long as these are sharp and they're not dull blades, these usually allow you to cut faster. Now, the problem I run into, like I said, with that heavy, wet, thick grass all the time, these blades will cause clogging in a lot of decks because their main purpose is to lift that grass up and cut it. But the problem is with the long tail, and this is what I've discussed so many times, a lot of people ask me about. They don't understand what I mean between long tail and short tail, and I'll explain that here. With that long tail, you get that high suction to pull that grass up, and it cuts it clean, but it holds it in the deck longer. It holds the grass in the deck longer versus shooting it out quick. So if it's wet grass, you will get a lot more clogging and a lot more buildup in your deck by running these. This here is my blade of choice. No matter what mower I run, other than my walkers, because I can't run these on walkers, but other than my walkers, everything else, this is my blade of choice. And I usually run these a lot, even in the heat of summer. These are a high lift blade with a short tail, okay? You can see the difference in the length of the tail. This is the same length blade. They're the same blade, okay? But you can see the difference in how short this tail is versus how long this one is. This is a high lift blade, but a short tail. Now, what this will do for you is it still gives you that lift to pull that grass up. Not as much as this one, but it still gives you plenty of lift to pull that grass up. But because it's a short tail, it cuts it and it gets it the hell out of the deck fast. So as soon as it cuts it, it throws it out of that deck really fast, really far. Whereas, like I said, these long tails will cut it and it holds it in the deck longer. You still get pretty good throw with these. It'll throw it out pretty far, but it holds it in longer because of the length of the tail. These short tails cut it and get it out of there fast, which makes much easier when you have to double cut, because since it cuts it and it gets it out of there fast, it throws it further. So when you go over for your second cut with the deck raised up a notch or two, you get that farther fan. If you understand what I'm saying, it throws it out a lot further and throws it farther, which allows you to clean up a lot easier by running these blades. So this is the basic idea. These are your 4 basic blades, of which you'll probably come across on almost any mower you buy. Almost every mower comes with a standard blade like this. It's a medium lift or a low lift, they call them. It's pretty much the same thing. There is variation with different blades you buy, but this is pretty much a low lift or a medium lift. G5 or G6 Gator mulching blades. super high lift or regular high lift blade, and then a high lift with a short tail. And that's the purpose for all of them. That's what each one of them do, and that's the different conditions that each one of these blades will do the best in. Okay, so now these are the standard blades that come stock on the Wright mower, and I'm gonna sharpen these, get an edge back on these. I gotta scrape some of this grass off first, so I'll do that first, but I'm gonna sharpen these. They're pretty sharp already. They're kind of rounded off there. I'm gonna put a nice 30-degree angle back on these, and then I'm going to balance them out and get them back on this mower so they're ready to go for whoever buys this mower. Okay, so as you can see, these high lift short tails are back to a 30-degree angle. They're all perfectly sharp. And these ones here, these are the stock Wright blades off this AeroCore deck. Low lift, medium lift, whatever you want to call them, it's all pretty much the same. Back to a perfect 30-degree angle, nice and sharp. And so now they will go on this mower, so when I sell this thing, it's ready to go. All right, we had to take a break from the mower blades because I have to take my daughter to school.
Oh my god, stop. I hate when you do this.
She hates cameras just as much as my wife does. We got to drop her off to school for an exam, and Roscoe wants to fly the drone that I sold him today. So it's like 46 degrees out and it's like a clear day, really calm, and he wants to fly this thing. So I got to run down there and show him a quick crash course on how to fly this thing, and it might be exactly that. It might be a crash course, so we'll see how he does with it. But let's go film that, and we'll see how he does with that right after we drop Jersey off at school.
You can put it away now.
She hates it. She's not a fan of cameras at all. That's why I do it. So an update quick. That GoPro flying wasn't happening. The GoPro won't even link up to the controller, the Karma. And come to find out after looking online that GPSs and calibrations were all updated as of the first of the year 2020, and every other major manufacturer like DJI were prepared for that, and they updated their systems. GoPro did not, which grounded every GoPro drone. So it has now since been fixed, and now what you have to do is you have to update the camera itself, and then once you do that, while it's out of the drone, you have to update it. Once you do that, then you can do the update through the Karma remote, which will in turn update the drone itself, and then you'll be good to go and you can fly, from everything I've read. So I set the camera in the drone. I linked it to Ryan's phone and started the update, but I had to leave. I had to come here to the school to pick up Billy so we can go to the gym, and then I'll go home and finish off the Toro and the blades on the Toro. I wanted to touch on something real quick. A couple people have contacted me and asked me what's the verdict with the Echo blower. Turns out that that upgraded tube assembly is warranted. I got a hold of Echo, but it's only warranted on certain serial numbers. So I gave them my serial number. Turns out my serial number for my Echo 8010 does qualify for the warranty of that tube. I shouldn't have had to pay for it, but since I already paid for it, they cannot issue me a refund is what they tell me. So they're gonna send me a can of the, or a 32-ounce can or whatever of the fuel 50-to-1 mixture, the Red Armor from Echo. They're going to send me a fuel system maintenance kit and a regular maintenance kit in place of all that, since they cannot refund me. So that's really cool. I'm glad they're doing that, and I'm thankful for that. But so that's the verdict. It is a warranty thing, but only for certain serial numbers, and they won't refund me my money since I already made the purchase. They said they can't refund it to me, so that's that. But anyway, Billy's coming out of the school here in a second. We're gonna go to the gym, get our Friday workout on, and then I'm gonna go home and we're gonna wrap up this Toro. Okay, now this mower's tipped up, the Wright's moved out of the way, and it's time to take these blades off. Like I explained to you guys, the high lift short tail is what I'm running on this mower. That's that's the plan. That's what I want to run on this mower. They're both 52-inch decks, because I know somebody's going to ask me. As long as they're both 52-inch decks and they both have the center 5/8 hole, which is the same, you can go from deck to deck. It doesn't. The manufacturer doesn't matter. People will tell you it does. It doesn't. I've been doing this for 1,500 years. Doesn't matter, right? So, anyway, we are going to take these blades off and put these on there. Now, I've never had the blades off this deck since I bought this machine. If you guys been following this whole story along, that's the one thing I haven't done to this yet, is I haven't taken the blades off that the guy had on there. And they may come off easy, they might not. I'm not really sure, but we're going to throw the Milwaukee Impact on it, which has over 1,400 foot-pounds of torque, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. So I'm going to buzz these off, throw these new ones on. Now I'm going to take care of the other two. That came off really simple. And then we're going to talk about these blades real quick. Okay, so no problems there taking them off. One of the reason these blades, these are stock Toro blades. I'm guessing they actually have Toro markings on them and Toro part numbers. So this guy was running stock Toro blades. I mean, these things are beat up, chewed up. They probably still have a little bit of life left in them. I could probably sharpen these and bring them back to a factory edge and get some more life out of them. But what I wanted to show you is to see how short that tail is there. But they're a low lift blade. They're like a low to medium lift. All right, they're not a standard, you know, almost flat blade. They're like a low to medium lift, but they're still short tail. Now, the reason I wanted to point this out to you is because this is another thing that some machines you'll see it a lot, and some you just won't. I've only seen it a few times. This is what the Great Dane came stock with. And the combination of the Great Dane's deck being wide open and the short tail blade is one of the reasons that made that machine cut so great in heavy, thick, wet grass. And I know I'm going to be running this in the spring with tons of heavy, thick, wet grass, and that's why I wanted the high lift short tail. But these stock blades on here, and Johnny Moe had mentioned to me that when he ran his Turbo Force decks, the stock blades did very well. And this would be why. I didn't know that that's what was on there. And now that Johnny had said that to me, it makes sense to me now. Because even though they're not a high lift, they're a lower lift, they still have the short tail. So, and with this deck being wide open and not over baffled like the Wright, for example, that's one of the reasons this thing handles wet, thick grass so well. Because the wide open deck and the short tail, even though it's, like I said, a medium to low lift. So I probably will sharpen these, bring them back to a factory edge and balance them, and you know, there's still a lot of life left in these. I mean, they've definitely been used, they've been gouged up, but nothing I can't bring back to factory, and I'll hang on to these. They're not as bad as I thought they would be. But that's it, guys. That will cover everything I wanted to talk to you about on blades. A little bit of randomness today, but I really wanted to cover these blades, and I figured it's a perfect opportunity versus just making a video for you of how I explained I was going to take blades off that mower, put them on this, and put factory blades back on that mower. I wanted to explain and put more to it, more to this video, since so many people have asked me the differences between blades and why I run what I run and what I think is best for what. There it is. Now you have it. That's, in my personal opinion, my personal experience, that's what I have come to believe with each one of them blades, what each one of their purposes are, and how I think they handle in different conditions. So that's it with blades. As always, you don't have to do what we do or how we do it, illegal, OSHA violation or not, whatever the case may be. This is just what we do and how we do it. Thank you, guys. Hit that thumbs up. It helps us out a lot to continue making these videos for you. And